Hi there. It's a cool evening here in St. Catharines, and it's getting to be fall. And that's a good time to have fairy tales read to you because you can snuggle up in bed and listen to them. So I have two for tonight, two separate files. So if you like the first one, you'll have to go looking for the second one. The first one is called Katy-Make-Sure. It's very short. There was once a little girl called Katy who found an old shoe inside a hollow tree. It was a funny little shoe with a pointed toe, and it was no more than an inch long. I wonder who it can belong to, she thought, and she slipped it into the pocket of her dress and went on her way. She hadn't gone very far before she heard a sound like this: tippity-tap, tippity-tap, tippity-tap. She looked round a large oak tree and saw a little goblin hopping around on one foot. "Excuse me," she said, "but is this your shoe?" Well, the goblin danced for joy. "At last," he cried, "without my shoes I can't go back to Goblin City." So Katy gave the goblin his shoe, and he put it on and danced around the tree, singing, "Short or long to go Goblin City, the straight way's short, but the long way's pretty." Then he stopped and said to Katy, "If you come with me to Goblin City, the king of the goblins will give you a reward." And there's Katy and the goblin. "Well, I could come," said Katy, "but how would we get there?" The goblin just hopped up and down on one leg and chanted, "Short or long to Goblin City, the straight way's short, but the long way's pretty." "But how do I know if it's worth going the pretty way or if it'll take too long?" asked Katy. The goblin jumped in the air, twirled around 3 times before he landed on one toe and said again, "Short or long to Goblin City, the straight way's short, but the long way's pretty." "How can I be sure it's not better to go the short way?" asked Katy. The goblin jumped in the air, landed on his head, and span around and round like a top until he disappeared into the ground and then reappeared just behind Katy and cried again, "Short or long to Goblin City, the straight way's short, but the long way's pretty." "How can I be sure I'll like it whichever way we go?" said Katy. The goblin did a somersault and landed on one finger. Then he snapped his finger so hard that he rose into the air, up, and then came tumbling down and landed in a dandelion puffball and cried, "Goblin City's far and near. If you want to make sure, you'd better stay here." With that, a puff of wind caught the dandelion and scattered it to the 4 corners of the world, and the goblin was gone. And poor Katy never went to Goblin City either way. Sometimes you have to make up your mind right away. It doesn't pay to wonder, should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. Sometimes it pays to just take a chance. That's what life is all about, taking chances. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get another story tonight before you go to bed. Bye.